Welcome to Fall, Rise, Give, a space where we invite you to dig into the real cause of your suffering, looking at opportunities for growth with a change in your beliefs, thoughts, and actions so you can be your true self and be inspired. Join us as we explore life's ups and downs and navigate the twists and turns, sharing stories of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of giving back. Whether you're looking for a change, in recovery, or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your go-to for candid conversations, raw emotions, and a whole lot of heart. Tune in and discover how to fall, rise, and give back on life's extraordinary journey. Fall, Rise, Give. It's a podcast. We've been doing it now for about 3 months. Kumar and I are pleased to have you guys here, and thanks a lot for listening. I wanted to point out, Kumar, before we start talking, that we never really planned what we're going to wear, obviously, and yet another week we're wearing the same color. That's happened multiple times, and I don't understand it.
I think we're on the same page, Bob, so I think we're good.
I think we are too. We got speaking of pages, we've got another page to turn. We're on week number 11. Last week we had Maya here. This week we've got Ryan with us. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you know Ryan, Kumar?
I've known Ryan for the last few months. I'd say about 6 months or so. We've got a deep bond. I have a deep, profound love for the guy. He's a super connector, and he is part of the attitude adjustment community that I'm a part of in recovery, and he's one of the most humblest, very focused, great speaker. Obviously, we'll learn his story and things like that, but he's just got a great heart. He's a super connector. He connects with people at a deep level very quickly, and he's just got a big heart. And that's the big thing for being on this show, is if you got a big heart, you're a kind person, and you've got an interesting story where you've turned your struggles into opportunities, you're welcome on this show. And so, yeah, that's why Ryan's here. He's a good friend of mine, and I love him to death.
Well, why don't you introduce him for us?
When you say introduce him, Ryan M. from Iowa.
So, Ryan, we're close in proximity, because I mean, I live in Wisconsin. You live in Iowa. I feel like Sarah Palin from here, because I can't see Russia from here, but I can see Iowa from right where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's funny.
Welcome to the show.
The only thing is, though, I'm 5 hours away from you.
True.
That's the state of Iowa drive, and it's one of the worst drives I think I could take. Well, second worst. Nebraska's pretty bad, too.
So, the funny thing is that a week from yesterday, I'm actually going to be officiating my first wedding. I've never done a wedding before, and my buddy's son asked me to be the officiant. So I'm going to be doing a wedding. I'm driving from here through Iowa, through halfway through Nebraska in order to do this wedding. So you just mentioned the two greatest states ever right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you swing through Sioux City, stop by and say hi.
I will do that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Ryan?
So I'm going to give my full name just because that's the way I do things. I want you to know who I am. My name's Ryan McNaughton, and I hail from Sioux City, Iowa, of all places. If you don't know where that's at on a map, if you point in the middle of the country, yeah, that's where I'm at. A little bit about myself. Wow. All right. So I'm a single father of 3. And I've been that way for the last 19 years. Oh, wow. It doesn't look like it, but yes, I have a 24-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 19-year-old. And it's life has been fun raising these kids into young adults. And myself, been through some struggles. Yeah, I was married to their mother for 4 years. We ended up divorcing after a little bit more than 4 years of marriage, and had 3 wonderful kids out of that experience. Haven't remarried since, but I've been through my fair share of relationships. And like Kumar had stated, I met him recently, I would consider, within the last 6 months, maybe even 8, right around there. And I had the pleasure of meeting him physically back in April. I flew out to the state of Oregon to meet with some friends of mine that I've developed a relationship over the course of the last 4 years, and had the opportunity to meet him and share some wonderful experiences. And, he's built me up where I need to tell him that, in all honesty, I feel like he could potentially be my brother. It's that strong of a connection. And not knowing this guy for more than 6 months and building a relationship like that, oh, I'm telling you, there's trust and respect that I feel is mutual between the two of us.
I feel like you're right, because my mom listens to our podcast also, and she said it seems like you guys are, cut of the same cloth. And I said, well, Mom, obviously we grew up together, but she goes, well, I don't remember you ever hanging out with him when you guys were kids. I'm like, we didn't really hang out, but we just, like you said, it's just one of those guys that once you get to know him, and he's a great person and a great resource that's going to be right there to help you out and give you a hand. Like we're talking about the Fall, Rise, Give. He's ready to give you his hand to help you, from your fall, to help you to rise. And to me, that's fantastic that he does that.
You guys are going to make me cry now.
I was going to say there's some tissues next to you. I'm pretty sure you just want to dab your eyes a little bit. So Ryan, tell me a little bit about some of your biggest struggles.
Some of my biggest struggles, I can tell you that from a young age, as far as I remember back, I was a big time liar. In fact, carried the nickname in my family, my immediate family, as Lion Ryan. So, I mean, we got Bartender Bob, Lion Ryan, on the cast today. And so, I mean, dude, I say this a lot, I was a liar. I cheated all throughout school and even in my adult life. Stole. Yeah. I led a rough life, but the thing is, I didn't have the implications that go along with that, because it always seemed like it got brushed under the rug. I had no legal repercussions because of most of those events. I don't have a rap sheet, but I easily could have. Mm-hmm. Some of my other struggles too. I know we're going to talk about love and relationship, I believe. And I can tell you, friends, I can build friends, lifelong friends, family, strong family community, connection as well. But when it comes to like a relationship with a significant other, I could tell you stories. There's several, and like I had mentioned, I had a failed marriage and things of that nature. So when it comes to matters of the heart that way, I'm not very successful.
So it sounds like you're able to connect now, though, later in life, because, I mean, you and Kumar obviously have connected, and you went and you flew out to Oregon to connect with some people that you knew. So what made you go from, and I use this term loosely because it sounds like, Lion Ryan, asshole. And I don't mean that as a negative, I guess maybe I do, but it doesn't seem like you're that person now.
Correct. And in all honesty, people tell me that, the honesty portion of this attitude adjustment program that we talk about is something that has truly helped me. So in all honesty, about 7 years ago, if you would have met me, exactly, you would have called me that asshole. You wouldn't have liked me. You wouldn't have talked to me. You wouldn't have had me on this podcast today. I guarantee it. I was not that person that you wanted. If it wasn't me lying, I was angry and just disrespectful. And so this program that we talk about has been that pivoting point. It really has. I got to a point in my life where I literally said this to a gentleman in my kitchen. It's funny that you're in your kitchen. I sat at my kitchen table with a gentleman that I've never met before in my life. And the only thing I remember out of that conversation was, Ryan, have you had enough? And I knew exactly what he meant. And I said, yeah, but I don't know what to do about it. He gave me some suggestions, and it changed from there.
Ryan, so I think we should talk about the attitude adjustment program a little bit and about being sober. And I think the biggest thing that I'm getting out of it is that prior to being sober, alcohol was a big part of your life.
It was.
It was huge. And then now, for the last 7 years that you've been sober and recovery, you have matured to amazing levels. Spiritually, you give back. You were in the last hour talking about your story to a bunch of people all over the world. And you just have this amazing ability to give and care about others. I know you're exhausted from your travels from yesterday and the weekend. You worked over the weekend. And so, yeah, so tell us about your recovery, your sobriety, your emotional sobriety, things like that.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, just for reference, worked 80 hours in the last 6 days. Drove 5 hours to get home late last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, it's like, what, 11:30, just a little bit past now. And I'm tired. I'm tired. So, I mean, oh, shoot. Serious, yeah. Like you said, through recovery, let's just start in saying that, yeah, I used to drink every day, and that's no joke. Monday through Sunday, sometimes early, sometimes late, but there was always either a thought or I consumed it. It literally ran my life. I hate to talk about it, but it's part of this. I remember, well, my daughter, who's 22 now, clued me in on birthdays, 7 birthdays that I did not literally show up for. Wow. Through the ages of like, what, 7 to 14. I just was non-existent. I would miss events, for school, whether it was even a dance recital or a music program. I wasn't there. I was not there. And then I got sober, like I said, about 7 years ago, and life has changed. So my youngest was 12, my daughter was 14, and my oldest was 16.
Did you have like a rock bottom where you're just like, you mentioned that you're sitting at the kitchen table, but did you have a moment where everything was basically gone and you decided to yourself, I'm done with this? Or what was your point of saying, I'm not going to do this anymore?
So I remember, and I worked for a company for 16 years. I was let go from that company for embezzlement. I stole a lot of money. And that was not my lowest point. That was 2 years prior to me finding this program. I remember at that point, I made a phone call to my mother and I said, I can't do this anymore. And she, once again, brushed it under the rug and was just like, things will be okay. You'll find a new job. Life will be okay. That should have been a rock bottom, but it wasn't. I kept digging and going, and things just kept falling apart. And it wasn't until it was July 4th of 2017. I took a week's worth of vacation to do nothing more than drink. Literally. Every day was planned out. And I was pretty successful until July 8th when I got pulled over for drinking and driving. That event right there was pretty much a rock bottom. And then there were some events that happened after that arrest that I noticed that rise that you were talking about. There was a gentleman that runs a tow company, and my truck had got towed that night. I went in the next morning after leaving jail and showed up to this gentleman's tow facility, which I know this person personally. I've known him for years, and he came to me and he said, "Ryan, come to my office." He literally took the tow bill that he had from the night before, tore it up in front of my face, and said, "I hope this is a step in the right direction." And I didn't realize what that event was going to do for me. In recovery, I have had the opportunity. I was 4 years sober and I ran across him again, where I actually had the opportunity to tell him about that story and let him know, because of that event, that helped me and steered me in the right direction, where I had 4 years of sobriety. And I'm telling you, the gift of that, I saw it in his eyes.
That's deep and touching, actually. And that's the rise that we're talking about, and the give, because you're able to rise and you're able to give him the knowledge of knowing that he helped you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since you've overcome your struggles, what have you gained personally since that date?
Lifelong friendships. Like I've talked about, meeting Kumar and becoming a friend of his. He's sent me text messages of, next time that you're in my area, just realize that you have a place to stay. Are you kidding me? I'm not a person that you would have wanted in your house 7 years ago. In fact, you wouldn't have thrown an invitation my way. Once again, we talk about these friends that I met 4 years ago that have had the opportunity now to meet physically. I literally have people that I can call upon that are halfway across the country that I know they'll pick up the phone. And so, I mean, that it just blows my mind. It's not anything that I signed up for. All that I was looking for when I went into recovery is I was trying to find some relief from that mental anguish that was in my head, and the physical capability of not being able to stop drinking. I was looking for that kind of relief. That's all I wanted. The everything else that's come from that, the rebuilding of family, the friendships that I've gained through this program, those are just icing on the cake. It really is.
It seems as though you've had the chance to connect with Kumar and with other people, and that's kind of what our whole focus of today's podcast is. We're talking about the throat chakra and connection, and how have you been able to connect with others? I mean, besides just besides doing the meetings and, flying out and being a part of it, how have you personally been able to connect better with, you mentioned you have 3 kids. You mentioned that, you've got a job where you're talking to a bunch of different people in IT and you're working on things, and, you're traveling and whatnot. How has your path been able to allow you to connect better with other people?
Well, and it's funny that you say that too, because I did struggle as a kid not making connections. I struggled with talking and communicating. And once again, I think that had to deal with lying. And ever since I've had the opportunity to correct that particular behavior and become more honest, and I'm not trying to float my boat, a little bit more humble too, where I can just kind of sit back and listen as well. Those aspects have given me the opportunity to, be able to convey exactly how I felt in a situation, or, God, where am I going with this? It's something where communication used to be a struggle, but now being able to talk to others, it's more of, like I said, the listening aspect and being able to direct my thinking towards what they are potentially getting at, what they're going through.
I just want to add to that, Bob. There's a bunch of things I heard there, and I want to summarize them in a precise way. And I was watching a documentary this last week about the number one communication tool and the number one way that we emanate energy to others, and how we build trust. And the guy is a PhD in communications and psychology, something like that, and was on a TED Talk or something like that. And he basically said the number one energy that we communicate out is authenticity. And in authenticity, people can resonate with you and you build empathy. And the components of authenticity to me are amazing. What you just said, Ryan. You said, I was honest, I was humble, and I was communicating and talking not about me, but about them, learning more about them, and being authentic in such a way that you really show that you are authentic in your caring and your communication to other people. And then you talked about listening. I think the biggest thing that we bring to communication is really listening, not only with our ears, but our eyes and our heart. We talked about the heart chakra last week and the energy, but I think other people can really see, and there's a comment or a quote out there is it doesn't matter what you say to people, it's how you make them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that, by being authentic and caring and showing, and honesty is amazing, but a lot of times people can be just brutally honest and offend you all the way. And so humility, I think, starts to build that empathy and listening. So I just wanted to share that. I think that's at the heart of this particular communication and this lesson. And I think that's what you're naturally really good at. That's why I invited you. That's why I think you're an incredible person. You just have this amazing ability to constantly be authentic, and you do all those other things like listening and being honest. So anyway, I just want to interject that, Bob.
I also wanted to mention too that you just mentioned the words true self, Kumar, when you were talking, and that's part of the overall feeling that we're trying to go with this podcast, is to be your true self. And I really think that that when you are yourself, you tend to do the things that you were truly, quote, meant to do. Because I think a lot of times we're like we're in oil, we're just running, and then we finally figure out the stuff that we're supposed to be doing, and we're able to get that step to get out of that, and then pretty soon we're on the path to doing the thing that we need to do. And I think that when we're being our true selves, that we're able to maybe see that and channel that and get to the point where we need to be in order to help somebody, to help yourself to be the best person that you are able to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell you, I thought I never had anything personally to give to another person. I didn't think I had anything to offer that would help another individual. And come to find out that the simplest thing of giving my time and being able to potentially share some of my struggles that I've dealt with, can help another person. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that a common person like Ryan could share a story with Kumar and make a connection that I guarantee you, for the next however long we're a part of this world, he and I will have that connection for the rest of our lives. I guarantee it. It won't diminish from here.
Well, Kumar, let's talk a little bit about that throat chakra, about the connection. Tell us how that kind of is going to lead Ryan and I and the people that are listening to this today. How is that going to lead us to that point where we want to be, or that next thing that we need to do?
Yep. That's a great point. And so the throat chakra is our communication chakra, right? It's how we communicate with others. We started out with the root chakra in the base of our spine, which is the acceptance. The second chakra, which was desire, and our sacral chakra, right? That's where we get inspiration for desiring what we want. Third chakra is really built around trust and how we get stuck by fear of what we want to desire, but we may not be able to go for it. The heart chakra gives us the energy, the love to be able to say, you know what? Divine love, or just love in general, provides that energy to be able to go after what you want. Mm-hmm. When you get to what you want, you're going to need other people's help. You're going to be able to get what you want from other people. You're going to need mentorship. You're going to need knowledge. You're going to be able to, in a business world, to be able to communicate in an authentic way, to say, Tom, I have these particular tasks. This is my project goal. I need you to be able to do X, Y, Z for me. So communicating in an authentic, honest, humble way gets us to get what we want from others. Building professional relationships, again, same rules apply. Building family relationships, everybody is the same way, right? They want you to be authentic. They want you to be humble. They want you to be in the learning mindset. Same thing with personal relationships, right? But to be able to get what you want from others, you're going to have to use your communication. And I kind of go back to we talk about religion, but we try not to talk about religion. We believe in a higher power, not only in the attitude adjustment program, but also in life. You and I have talked about our Catholic upbringing. Mm-hmm. The tongue is it's mentioned in the Bible, in the book of James. The tongue can provide a sword to cut through and hurt people in a dramatic way. It's a tool that can cut through, and our words have a lot of damage that they can do. On the flip side, our words of compassion, our words of our heart energy, when we communicate it with our heart, with an authentic way, in a humble way, and we listen to others, they get us true to what we want from others. And that's the thing that Ryan's talking about. He's been able to apply that through his experiences. I'm not saying he's natural at it. Obviously, he wasn't. And so it's amazing. That's why we brought him on the show. Is like, here's this guy that's following the principles of actually opened up his throat chakra, which is the last of the spiritual chakras. We'll talk about intuition next, the sixth and the seventh one, the divine chakra, later. But that's what the throat chakra does, is allows us to communicate and get what we want through the help of others.
You know, the thing too is that the words can both heal and hurt. You know, I mean, that's basically wrapping up everything you just said, is that they can be healing and hurting, and sometimes at the same time. You know, sometimes that can happen together. I want to throw this question out to both of you, and since you've been going to the attitude adjustment program, has it been easier for you to ask for help, not just with addiction, but with just life in general?
I've been doing this thing for almost 7 years. Like I said, July 10th of 2017 will be my anniversary, and that's a month away. It's gotten easier. I haven't perfected it, but there's a saying that it's progress over perfection. And so progress over perfection for me is, I can guarantee you, I still lie today. It does happen. But it is considerably less than what it used to be 7 years ago. My anger, I'm a very calm person, I've been told. And patience is something that I have received in the last 7 years. It's incredible. It really, really is. And they talk about a serene life. I have now had a chance to experience what serenity really, truly means. And let me tell you, it's very peaceful. It's very calming. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Kumar, what about you?
No, I think it's incredible. When people go through a spiritual experience, and this is what we're talking about through your body, and connecting and opening up the chakras, is that we're bringing up the chakras, and these are principles of life, right? Acceptance, forgiveness, trust, desire. The thing that stood out for me was vulnerability. People in the attitude adjustment program are vulnerable because they are in a spot where they can be honest with others in the program. And nowhere in society do I find people being truly vulnerable, saying, I've got a problem. And that's what people in recovery have to deal with. It's such a gift to be part of the program. Your struggles are really the opportunities. That's the beauty of it. And so that's where, to be your true self, you've got to dig in deep into your soul, into your psyche, into your ego, get past that ego. And you start being vulnerable, you start saying, hey, how am I feeling? And then you start to let go of your resentments, and you become more patient. And then you start to become more calmer. And that anger and the frustration in the world that we have on a daily basis starts to go away when you start digging in and start to do things with love and honesty and vulnerability and humility. And that's the part that is really the best thing that you connect with people on, right? Once you start showing you're vulnerable, people become drawn to you. And that's the love that we share in this world. That's where we get to walk around and saying, how can I add more love to society and humanity? And you do it one day at a time. We're not changing the world. We're just changing ourselves. Just to share that homeless guy down the street, not to give him $2 for a cup of coffee or a sandwich, but to just say, hey, I care about you. It's okay. I'm sorry that you're struggling. I've also struggled. And so that's the part about humanity, and that's the connection with others. So I love that out of the program, and I think that's where Ryan and I share a deep bond on that. And so the connection is really about bringing your true authentic self. You overcome the struggles, there are opportunities to help others, and that's the giving part. Once you start to give, you get beyond yourself, and you start to become peaceful and loving.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall Rise Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also, consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall, Rise, Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.